What it do, Dream Team? Here we are with another reaction video. Guys, we're talking about the top 4 most affordable Australian cities to live in that won't bankrupt you. I know I've reacted to a lot of Australian content recently. I've been talking about the housing crisis and the rental prices that are absolutely out of hand and out of control. But that may just be in the bigger cities, in the more expensive cities. Let's look at these top 4 most affordable cities to live in. Make sure y'all subscribe, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up. Let's dive in.
Many of you have been asking me, oh, I want to move to Australia, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it, or I'm worried about rent prices, the housing crisis, or what should I do? So in this video, we're going to talk about the most affordable capital cities in Australia, drawing on housing, food, and transport costs. And hopefully this will give you a better perspective to explore different alternatives across Australia. Another thing that I want to clarify is that in this video, we're going to use the city of Sydney as a reference, considering that today Sydney is the most expensive Australian city. So with all that said, let's get started. Now, number 1 in the list is Hobart. Hobart is today Australia's cheapest capital city to live in. As way of overview, Hobart is located on the southeast coast of Tasmania and is Australia's second oldest city after Sydney. And what makes Hobart unique, in my opinion, is its beautiful landscapes full of nature, mountains and views, especially from Mount Wellington. And of course, another thing that makes this beautiful city very special is its unique art scene with the Mona Museum. A must-see if you go visit. It's, I think, the most bizarre place that I've been to, but so cool. And of course, Hobart and Tasmania as a whole, overall, they're very well known for its food and wineries. Yeah, I do think that it adds to the quality of living in this city and this region. Now let's talk about housing costs in Hobart. To give you a reference as way of comparison, according to the most recent data published by Finder, Sydney is 52% more expensive than Hobart when it comes to housing costs. The median weekly rent in Hobart for a house is $580 Australian dollars per week and
How much rent?
$122 per week for a unit or apartment.
I need to do the conversion. I got to Google how to do this conversion real quick. 522 Australian dollars per week. All right. Let's see, 522 Australian to US. That's about $347. When you look at that monthly, you're looking at around $1,400. Maybe a little bit less than $1,400 a month, and this is the average. That's not too bad. I'd like a little bit cheaper, but I mean, I'm sure this might not be the housing for like a 1-bedroom apart. This might be regular for like 3-bedroom. I'm not sure, but this isn't too bad. This is livable, and then when you put on top of it that Australian actually pays a really high wage compared to a lot of other places, you think, oh, probably get away with this. It probably is very affordable. Okay, because I pay almost this. I pay like $300 less a month, but I don't think I get paid. Our wage isn't as much, even though I do YouTube, and so it's based off of views and ad revenue and all that stuff. If I had my last job, I don't think I'd get paid as much as I would in Australia.
And the median price for buying is currently at $841,500. Now, when it comes to transport, Hobart has been found to be 57% cheaper than Sydney. Again, the difference is significant. And as way of reference, a monthly public transport ticket in Hobart will cost you roughly 86 Australian dollars.
That's it?
But for food and grocery
monthly
costs, Hobart is consistent with other Australian cities, so there's no big difference here. Now, if you want a more detailed breakdown about cost of living across Australia and national averages, I highly recommend watching this video here. I have a full dedicated video to cost of living. Now, the second cheapest Australian city is Adelaide.
So Hobart sounds pretty dope for all the incredible views, all the incredible nature, everything, and it's different. It's different. It's kind of cool because it's different. You got the art scene and everything. It sounds like a pretty dope city at an actual affordable price. What got me is the transport because, I mean, when I take into consideration all the money I spend on my car monthly, as far as car payment plus insurance, I'm looking at about $600 a month. So my transport that's not even adding in gas. I add in gas probably $700 a month is what I'm looking at for my car. Whereas a monthly public transport ticket, $86. Jesus Christ. I'd save so much money. Jesus.
Coming closely after Hobart in terms of affordability. Now, as way of overview again, Adelaide is the capital city of South Australia and is most well known for its festivals, art scene, and world-class wineries nearby. The city of Adelaide, in my opinion, is very beautiful, full of green, lots of parks around, and historical buildings, which really surprised me when I first visited this city. And something that I noticed as well is that it's a very, very quiet city. You don't really see many people walking around. Even during weekdays, we were there and it was pretty quiet. So if you're looking for a very chilled kind of lifestyle, Adelaide perhaps is the alternative.
I like chill.
Now, in terms of housing costs, to give you an idea, Sydney is 48.51% more expensive than Adelaide. And across Australia, Adelaide is the cheapest city for housing. Although this report notes that it has some of the highest utilities, internet, and household goods costs in the country. Now, the median weekly rent in Adelaide for a house is $570 per week and $520 per week for a unit or an apartment. So as you can see, there's not really much difference between renting a house or renting a unit or apartment in Adelaide. From what I've seen though, in the city of Adelaide, you mainly find high-rise buildings. Now, if you're considering buying a house in Adelaide, the median price is 900,000 Australian dollars. So basically almost reaching 1 million, which is insane. And I say it's insane because this is still one of the most affordable cities in Australia, but house prices there are almost borderline the million. So it's interesting. Now, in terms of transport costs, Adelaide is 48% cheaper than Sydney. So again, it's almost half the price. A public transport ticket in Adelaide will cost you roughly 103 Australian dollars per month. And when it comes to grocery costs, Adelaide seems to be consistent again with all Australian cities. So there you have it. This is Adelaide. Now the third
Adelaide doesn't sound bad at all. I mean, compared to Hobart, it kind of seems like you're paying about the same amount, give or take a few dollars. But you're paying about the same amount. And Adelaide, even though Hobart was awesome, beautiful, you got the views. I guess I would say Adelaide is more my tempo, more my vibe, with it being a chill city. I'm not a person who goes out too much. I like to be chill. I'm just a chill vibes type person. So Adelaide seems like more my vibe, and I'd still get away with it. You add everything in at the end of the day, I'd still have more money in my pocket living in Adelaide than living where I do now.
Capital city in our list is Darwin. Now, as way of overview, Darwin is the capital city of Northern Territory. Darwin is most well known for its rich indigenous culture and history, as well as its outdoor lifestyle, adventure activities. And as way of reference, Darwin's cost of living when it comes to housing is 50% less than Sydney's. And when it comes to renting, you can expect to pay between 500 to 600 Australian dollars per week for a place in Darwin. And for buying, the median price is 415,000 Australian dollars. I said that data is not super consistent, and when I saw these figures, I actually did a bit of research to make sure that these figures really matched. And indeed, there are some apartments that go for 3-bedroom apartments that go for $1 million, which is insane, and other 2-bedroom apartments perhaps are going for 400,000. So everything depends, but the median price, from what I found, is about 415,000 Australian dollars. Now, Darwin is the cheapest major city for transport, so much so that it's 68% cheaper than Sydney. And again, as way of reference, a monthly public transport ticket in Darwin will cost you around 63 Australian dollars. Now, when it comes to food and groceries, again, prices in Darwin are consistent with other Australian cities and major states. So what I found in reality is that the most expensive city for food and groceries is actually Canberra. But then
wow.
national averages in terms of grocery costs are pretty consistent across the whole country. And again, if you want a detailed breakdown of those costs, I have a dedicated video about that. Now, followed by that.
Okay, so Darwin, I guess she didn't explain too much about the city of Darwin. Well, I guess she kind of did, actually. Very rich indigenous culture. And then you got different kind of lifestyle, like different events and all things down there, which is pretty cool, pretty dope. In Darwin, I mean, all three of these cities aren't too much out of, right? They're basically all in the same price range, it seems like. Although, like, median housing prices seem to be a lot cheaper in Darwin. So far so good.
Darwin is Perth. Perth is number 4 in our list. As way of overview, again, Perth is the capital city of Western Australia. Perth is most well known for its white sand beaches, beautiful coastline, sunshine almost all year round, unique wildlife like quokkas in Rottnest Island, as well as its rich Aboriginal history. Now, in terms of housing, as way of reference as well, Sydney is 45% more expensive than Perth when it comes to housing costs.
Okay.
Now, the median weekly rent in Perth for a house is 742 Australian dollars per week.
That's
for
a jump.
Unit or an apartment,
Okay.
is 550 per week. Now, if you want to buy a house in Perth, the median price is $855,000 for a house, and for an apartment you can expect to pay about $425,000. Now, in terms of transport costs, Perth is 20% cheaper than Sydney. And to give you an idea, again, a public transport ticket in Perth will cost you roughly 160 Australian dollars per month. Now, just a few more interesting facts from this analysis to give you a nice comparison between cities in terms of affordability. As we said, Sydney is the most expensive Australian capital city overall, and to give you an idea again, it's 22% more expensive than Melbourne, 25% more expensive than Perth, 1% more expensive than Brisbane, so Brisbane is almost there.
I didn't know Brisbane was that expensive. I thought it was Sydney then Melbourne. I didn't know Brisbane was that expensive.
9% more expensive than Adelaide, 21% more expensive than Hobart, 41% more than Darwin, and 13% more than Canberra. So interestingly enough, Brisbane is almost reaching the level in terms of cost of living as Sydney, which is fascinating, especially because I feel that this is a COVID effect. So this happened after the pandemic, but yeah, perhaps I'm wrong. So leave a comment below if you have more information about that. Now, Canberra, which is Australia's capital city, is the most expensive one, as I said, when it comes to food and grocery costs. And to give you an idea, Canberra is 8% more expensive than Melbourne and 26% more expensive than Darwin, just as way of reference. But the overall price difference across cities, again, it's minimal. And another surprising thing about Canberra is that today this city is the most expensive city for renting just after Sydney. And based on my research, it seems that this is the case because there's not enough supply of rental properties in Canberra. So in summary, Hobart and Adelaide are the most affordable capital cities in Australia, with Hobart being slightly cheaper than Adelaide. And something that I want to say again is that in this summary, in this breakdown of the most affordable cities, what we are considering is the cost of housing and essential goods and services. But what we're not considering is the cost of extras, such as paying for your kids' schools and university fees, going to the hairdresser, recreational activities, etc. Now, having said that, I suspect that the price differences across these services and goods is going to be minimal again across Australian cities. And speaking of university fees and education, if you want to know more about the education system in Australia or what it is like to live in Australia or in other Australian cities, I highly recommend watching these videos here and here. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to keep supporting the channel so I can keep bringing.
I absolutely love that. And I think, I mean, when I've been seeing a lot of these prices in Australia, I guess I've been watching videos where people are living really expensive cities. Probably people in Sydney, people in Melbourne, people in Brisbane. But these are actually affordable, where I actually think when you include everything there is to include in the cost of living, I probably escape paying less in Australia than I do in America. Because when I think of cost of living, what I pay now, I'll just say rent's $1,100, cars another $7, electricity about $100, water bill about $80, phone bill $160, internet $95, and then I pay for different things like washer, dryer, and then groceries, all that stuff. When I add all my bills up together, I'm probably somewhere in 25 to 2,600 a month paying in bills and utilities, everything. If I add it all together, I'm probably somewhere around 2,500 a month, which is absolutely insane. Jesus Christ. Is that cheaper than what some of y'all pay in Australia? Y'all talk to me in the comment section. That's $2,500 US. So in Australia, how much would that be? 500 US dollars to Australia. Jesus Christ, that'd be, so if I was living in Australia paying the same prices here, it'd be $3,756 a month would be my cost. Well, me and my girlfriend, we're one income family, so will be our cost of living, $3,756. Is it better deals in Australia? Any of y'all paying over that right now for y'all's living situations? And if you enjoyed that video, make sure you guys check this one out, subscribe, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up. It's your boy Neal, out.